Outward 2 is looking really good. I was recently lucky enough to get my hands on the alpha demo version of Outward 2. Thanks to the guys over at Ninedots Studios, and a special thanks to Gheeyom for granting me this opportunity. And I've gotta say, the sequel to our most beloved RPG is headed in a fantastic direction. The demo is entirely focused on combat, giving us a sneak peek on how the new weapon system is going to work, as well as showing us some of the cool enemy types and skills available. So let's review some of the major features relayed by this early version of the game. There are several enemy types in this demo that each behave differently. First up is this hive creature, which for those who played the first game, you might remember them being very annoying with the swarm of bees that chased you around. Well, they're back and with a vengeance. So one variant is this non-mobile creature that's attached to something. Often, they're going to be stuck on posts and rocks, acting as a turret of a sort. They send out bees at you and swing their one-twig arm to hit you when you get near them. We also see the walking version of these that move around freely. The mobile ones can be quite aggressive at making ranged attacks and longer weapons really solid there. We also saw a few of these brand new boar creatures as well, which were by far the most fun thing to fight. They charge at you with attacks from their tusks and deal some pretty substantial impact even when you're blocking. And lastly, we have the final boss at the end of a dungeon, that being a large hive lord. His attack pattern is pretty simple, but man is he a beast, hitting with extremely powerful slams and pounds that will have you reeling. He also has this ranged thorn attack that can catch you by surprise, kinda similar to the ranged attack of the manticores in original Outward. All the enemies look very distinct and feel very responsive. The new stationary bee variant is especially interesting, as it could mean we're going to see some more non-traditional enemies that are more than just walking monsters out in the world. The demo also came with 3 distinct skills for players to make use of. The first and most obvious is going to be the fire sigil, and yep, this thing is going to be a very nice clutch item once again. I actually did a full run of the demo with just the sigil, and it stomps everything. Basically, this requires a firestone to activate a red ring. While in this sigil, you can activate other skills to deal damage. The spark skill can be used inside to create a ranged fireball, and this is very strong as it deals elemental damage from safety away from the monsters, also dealing considerable impact so you can stagger opponents quicker once they eventually reach you. And lastly, we have the rush skill. This sends you sprinting forward with a very forceful melee attack. It can deal considerable damage and stagger, making it good for covering ground as an opener. Additionally, you can combo this skill with the fire sigil to create a fire trail behind you. Doing so also seems to up your damage as well. It was kind of possible to one-shot stuff with it, although I believe this was a demo bug since it even took out the boss nearly in an instant one time. Regardless, the skills are going to be back in a fun fashion, letting you combo them with melee attacks or pair them with other skills to get unique interactions. And the rush uses no magic, letting you still save mana and combo with the sigil at the same time. As for the weapons that were available, we have shield, dagger, one-handed mace, sword, and spear. With the new combat system, which I'm going to go over here soon, you can equip any weapon in either hand. So say shield in right hand or sword in the left hand, for example, allowing you to dual-wield daggers or even pair a sword up with a mace. Each weapon has several forms of attacks that are all going to perform a different animation. Running attack, heavy charged attack, regular swing, and a combo between normal and heavy together. This makes combat very difficult at first, because you have so many options to attack with, you might not know what to use and when to use it. However, the more you experiment with even a single weapon type, the easier it is to react to an opponent's moves, such as with the sword, where normal swings are a simple attack forward. The heavy one swipes with a jump backwards, avoiding an attack while also dealing damage. And all the weapons have different moves that might make them more distinct to the player. The most interesting factor for weapons is the running attack. Swords have a very fast swipe that turns them around. The mace moves you forward with a high impact swing upward. The spear lunging forward with several attacks in succession, and the coolest of all being your dagger that dives with a quick attack forward into an iframe roll. Every weapon is going to take more time to master, with many more options to experiment with, while also granting you more power due to the customization. As far as combat itself, you will be familiar with it if you played the first game. You got a mana, stamina, and health bar in the bottom left corner. The impact or stagger meter has also been moved to this area as well. Mana is going to be used up when you cast magic skills and can be refilled by using mana potions, and likely other options when the game is further developed. Stamina is used up while you run, attack, block, and dodge. And health is how health usually works in video games. You take damage, you lose health. Stamina is the key to this game, as you can be quite formidable in combat, but once your stamina is out, you cannot do anything at all but take hits. So eating foods, taking potions, these are all going to be essential yet again before combat so you have enough stamina during a battle. Enemies are also going to have a health bar and a stagger meter like you do, except they have infinite stamina. So to combat this, your best bet is to try and stagger as quickly as possible, or forcing the white bar to reach 50%. Before this point, your attacks hit but don't stop enemies from attacking. After that 50%, your attacks are now going to stun enemies, preventing any action from them, as well as fully knocking them down once that bar is out. Likewise, enemies can do this to you, so block too many attacks without doing anything else and you're going to fall down. All weapons can block, but something like a shield is going to block better, and you need to be wary of this at all times. The other option you have instead of blocking, of course, is going to be a dodge roll. Now, the change here is that one dodge is instead a sidestep or dash. Press it twice, and then you're going to dodge roll fully. The dash consumes far less stamina and allows you to avoid damage while staying close to your target. The actual dodge roll moves you far from attacks, but really eats up your stamina. This feels really good as you can be way more aggressive than you could be in the first game. Before, the best strategy was to just block until you got an opening and then attack, only dodging when your impact bar was low or an AoE was coming in. Well, now, as long as you can carefully time your dodge, you can dash to the side and instantly counterattack. It just feels much more responsive and allows you to do a lot more in combat. While this is an advantage, the enemies have been made more aggressive to compensate. So we're going to have a little bit more stamina, more moves, more options to avoid damage, but the enemies will also take a bit more effort to deal with, at least without taking damage. So the big showy factor of this demo is how customizable combat is actually going to be. I, for one, really liked dual wielding a mace and a sword together. The mace could deal higher impact when I needed it, but required more of an opening with its slower speed, while the sword has quick attacks that place you in good positions. Two-handed weapons are particularly useful as they get more attacks this time around. So say for a controller user, X is your offhand attack and A is your main hand attack. In the first game, heavy weapons took up your offhand slot, but only gave you a main hand attack. Well, now X is one move and A is something completely different. Yes, you're going to lose that offhand option such as a lantern, torch, dagger, or shield, but with two-handed weapons you have twice as many attack options. Spears make great use of this, having aggressive forward attacks for one move and backward retreating attacks for another. And of course, another exciting highlight being double the quick slots. There are now 8 total quick slots readily available, and another 8 you can swap to at any time with the press of a button. This is going to let you have all the skills you need equipped, but also use potions, bandages, and other consumables while in the midst of battle. It's also likely this will open up the magic as well, granting you access to boons on the go and things like that. Of course, the developers have had to transition from Unity to Unreal Engine for this sequel, and that has raised some interest in the more cartoony look of Outward 2. After playing the demo, I have to say it all just looks better. Armor's more clean and polished, areas look more vibrant, and being a more up-to-date game, it has better graphics overall. Armor and weapons all look beautiful, with the ornate chests really standing out. Everything looks and feels very Outward-like, but in a new setting, which is what most of us were hoping for. Overall, this is a combat demo, so talking about backpack mechanics, different potions, dialogue with characters, and exploration is all pointless. That's just not what this demo was created to demonstrate. Considering everything about this is a combat demo, it did get me pretty excited for Outward 2. Nothing here really felt like a negative. Yes, it's going to take some time to get used to the new enemy moves and how each weapon feels, but once you get the hang of it, combat is really going to open up. Once again, thank you very much to Ninedots for allowing me to access this alpha demo. As someone with thousands of hours in the first game, this was a dream come true. I am extremely excited for the sequel to continue developing in this direction, and us Outward fanatics should get a really solid second game out of this. Hopefully you all enjoyed this overview, and here's to another brand new adventure coming soon. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.